join me in welcoming the remarkable and visionary Allie K. Miller.
No wasted time, we're taking flight. I'm breaking up with the old way.
Good morning. It is so nice to be back here. I was lucky enough to be the first keynote at the first ScaleUp AI, along with Andrew, who is not only the godfather of AI, but also the Benjamin Button of AI. I think all of our hair has gone gray, and Andrew, you look fabulous. A lot has changed since 2022. I quit my job, I started a new company, I moved to New York. Thankfully, the only thing that hasn't changed is artificial intelligence, not a single thing, other than impacting every single industry and every aspect of human civilization. Other than that, totally exactly the same. In 2022, I felt like if someone said prompt engineering, they were talking about politely asking Alexa to turn off the light, and now even my slides last week are already deprecated. So let's get into it. We're going to be talking about mastering the age of AI, and I want to break down what trends I am seeing and also what the future is to bring. Now, I know that this audience is very interesting in that some of you are literally AI experts, and some of you can tell me what AI stands for. So I'm going to try and help both sides. But as a raise of hands, how many people have used ChatGPT? Great, that was just a morning stretch. Felt good, felt good. How many people have used Claude? Wow, see, it's so interesting to see the hands. For folks that are live streaming, nearly as many hands for ChatGPT. So this was 3 years ago, the best that tech had to offer, especially if you were interested in avant-garde snack time, was this picture of an avocado chair. At this time, no one was really worried about AI. No one was really worried that AI would take their job. And then, of course, 3 years later, we get this, which is indistinguishable from what humans can create. And that is 3 years. That is less than a bachelor's degree. And just because image is not enough, and I always have to make sure that people start the morning kind of feeling queasy, I also made this one. This is on Pika. And so each modality is moving at different speeds. But there is one big thing that I want every single person in this room to really take note of. One thing. It's not one specific AI tool, it's not one specific AI use case or platform or company. The number one thing to focus on for the rest of the day, frankly, is just how fast this space is moving. Just how fast this space is moving. And just to break down a little bit of that change that we are seeing, that rate of change. First, we're seeing it in terms of scale. This is the first of four. So when it comes to scale, this is the length of time it took for different platforms to reach 100 million users. For the internet, it took 7 years. I'll get out of your way so you can take those photos. For WhatsApp, which came out 40 years later, it took half that. It took 3.5 years. And those last two, who's going to guess the number one, obviously? I hear ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. Yeah, ChatGPT. That is the first one. Who can name the second one? To my knowledge, it's not an Insight Partner report. Go. What was the guess? Google. Is that up there? No, but that's a good guess. The second one is Character AI. Were you going to guess that? Yeah. Okay. The reason that this is so interesting is because when the news headlines came out about ChatGPT hitting 100 million users, every single news headline heralded this as an exception, as this unbelievable product and platform that no one was going to eclipse or touch. And I think they got it wrong. I think the actual takeaway from ChatGPT hitting that scale is that we are in an age where scale is going to look different. Okay? It was actually the rule. It was the indicator, not the exception. We're also seeing this rate of change in performance. Okay? So that horizontal line, that is human performance. And benchmarks, they're not perfect, but they're certainly helpful indicators. And so reading comprehension, which we started testing in 1998, took 16 years to outperform humans. Image recognition, which started in 2009-ish, took only 6 years to outperform humans. Reading comprehension, which came out even later, took 1 year. And now, on a variety of benchmarks, AI is outperforming humans in less than a year. That slope is ever increasing. And it's not just performance, right? I can label an image as a zebra. AI can label an image as a zebra. Great, we're both very successful. The AI can label 10,000 in a minute, and I can label a couple. Okay, so even if I'm the greatest image labeler of all time, that scale that AI is able to hit with that performance is what makes it so special and so different. Now, we also see this in a benchmark called MMLU, very popular multimodal benchmark, and we went from subhuman to superhuman in just 4 years. Now, the majority of companies in this room probably have plans that are longer than 4 years. You probably have real estate plans of where you're going to grow that take longer than 4 years. This is the rate of change. People are not making 5-year plans anymore. Or if they are, they're willing to burn it all. The next is in cost, because none of this really matters if it's only the big companies that can take advantage of it. So obviously, you have amazing startups that are taking advantage of this move. And so these models, even though they are getting bigger, they're also getting more efficient. A popular model has gotten over 16,000 times more efficient in the last 9 years. And there's an opposite version of this, right? There was a Russian bot attack several years ago that cost over $1 million to pull off. That same bot attack today would cost less than $100. And so as we're thinking about these trade-offs, and as we're thinking about these amazing efficiency gains, and by the way, GPT-4 has dropped their price, I think 3 or 4 times. That price has come down more than 90% in about a year. So this pace of cost efficiency is just unbelievable. And the last piece that we have is on accessibility, because none of this matters if only the precious few can actually access this. And I remember using GPT-2 for the first time. Any GPT-2 converts? Still rocking it? No, just me? All right. So GPT-2, I sat down in 2019, and I remember typing a sentence, and AI finished that sentence, and I knew the world had changed. At the time, right, AI really started with just being accessible to the unbelievable PhDs and Andrew Ngs of the world, 1 million machine learning engineers and data scientists. Right around that 2019 mark, we were seeing it grow to developers, to 28 million developers. And when ChatGPT came out, that was that big moment, right, where we actually saw that wide-scale accessibility to any internet user. Now, again, the opposite of this, if your company has banned AI, that means that the average grandma in Lithuania has better AI access than your employees do. So you always have to be thinking about both of these sides. Now, there are a lot of different technologies within generative AI. I should also say generative AI is not new. It's actually been around for decades. Good generative AI is new. And so these are not use cases, but this is a couple different examples of how this tech is in use. The first is the ability to create images or videos. Anyone rocking Midjourney these days? What are you using it for, out of curiosity? Obviously for image creation, to post on social media, to make your kids laugh, PowerPoints, all of them. Interesting. So the ability to create images and videos. And again, these are moving at completely different rates. Video, the greatest models out there can create 2-minute AI videos, and they look very AI generated. The hit rate of these videos, I've now made countless, really only 1 in 10 look decent, and that's today. So that is definitely going to change. We also see AI in decision making. Every single person at my company has their own AI assistant that is helping them make decisions that is tailored to their values, to their preferences, their goals, and their roles. We see AI with copywriting. Yes, every single person's written an AI email to yell at their landlord. But AI for synthesis is the way, way, way bigger use case. The ability to synthesize tens of thousands of research pages into a single sentence. The ability to search 50,000 documents and find that key nugget. That is a real use case. We also see AI with code. I'm going to keep raising hands. Any cursor users? Okay, and Replit, just to get the battle going. Oh, okay, interesting. Cursor wins so far, just for folks that didn't turn around. And then the last is text to everything. Text to image, text to video, text to audio. My guess is that the AI voiceover that we're hearing was a text to platform. But there's a future version of each of these. And so the future version of the ability to create images and videos is world models. This is what Meta is working on, NVIDIA is working on, Google's working on. This is their key focus. And it is the ability to represent the entire world in 3D and to map out the physics so that as you are walking through space, you can predict what's about to happen. So if I go like this, right, what is the likelihood that I'm actually going to fall off the stage and break my face? That is what they're all going toward. The future of decision making, every single person right now has the same ChatGPT. We see a little bit of this with that memory function, but for the most part, everyone has the same AI. We are going to go into a world where it's not just generally customized to your company, but every single person and team and company and country will have a goal-oriented or value-oriented AI. The future of copywriting and synthesis is hyper-personalization. I work with one client that has 1,200 landing pages for every single product that they build. They are creating a personalized landing page the moment that any single customer visits that website. The future of code, we'll get into this at the end as well, but agents and autonomous software development, everyone is freaked out that AI is going to replace software engineers. The bigger use case is AI being able to have system-to-system communication so that anyone, not just software engineers, can spin that up. And the future of text to blank is blank to blank, anything to anything, right? Full multimodal transformation. The ability to input an image and get a song that can represent that image. The ability to upload your brainwaves and ask for whatever image you're thinking about. Right? So we are moving into that space. 2024 was really the year of multimodal AI, and we're still seeing new releases break out. I worked at AWS for 4 years. I was the global head of machine learning for startups and venture capital. With that, I got to speak to the top AI startups in the world, the top founders and researchers, and there was one thing that I was noticing in these conversations. This is more than 5 years ago, and I was sitting down to talk to these founders. This is when Anthropic wasn't even called Anthropic yet. Okay, so this is like OG AI. And I was talking to them, and what I realized was that everyone on the outside was focused on the products they were building. Everyone was focused on what AI products or AI models they were releasing into the world. When you actually spoke to these companies, the thing that stood out so obviously is that they were actually using AI in everything they were doing. They were using AI as part of their job description creation. They were using AI in their strategic decision making. They were using AI to test out product ideas, to QA code. It was in everything, not just the external part. The analogy that I give is that AI was thought to be this like frosting at the end of the cake, when in fact AI is the flour that is baked into the cake of these startups. And so that was really that first shift into an AI-first business. And so I want to actually break down what this looks like. The majority of companies are not even here, right? Very few startups are even living this. But I want to give you a couple use case examples, and I want to break down this 3P methodology so that you can start to think about how your business is supposed to be shaping into the future. So 3P methodology, that first P is people. This is about supercharging your employees. We're also going to talk about supercharging your processes, how work actually gets done. And then finally, yes, that growth piece is how to use AI to supercharge your actual offerings. That doesn't just mean building AI products. That means using AI in how you build and test and optimize products. So I'm going to give you use cases in each of these, and then we'll talk about, drumroll, the future. All right, so we're going to start with people. I want to say that this is the most obvious use case, okay? Supercharging your employees. That could look like adopting ChatGPT Enterprise or Microsoft Copilot, or that could look like a more narrow use case that probably has unbelievable KPIs behind it. So one such example, Morgan Stanley might even be in this room, and if so, thank you for giving me this beautiful slide that I get to work with. Morgan Stanley has been working on this use case for really over 2 years now. And so I want to give you what it looks like today, which is that Morgan Stanley decided that their end customers could know about AI, could not know about AI, and rather than go after that completely uncontrollable space, they decided to test internally in a space that they can control, which is starting with their wealth managers. So they gave their wealth managers access to their own little AI bot. And what I love about this is that the wealth managers still have that human-to-human interaction with the really important end customer. And the most important thing was getting an answer to that person while not losing that relationship and trust. So the person asks the question, maybe it's some new question that we're not as familiar with, how do you spin up this certain account? And so I am speaking as the wealth manager to this customer, they ask me a question, I get confused. I go over to my secret special, little bot that is trained up only on our documents, our data. It's probably a RAG setup. And it queries 50,000 documents to retrieve that exact answer, and I get to go back, give the answer. That customer is none the wiser, right? That whole process started and ended with humans. And what I love about this use case is that it's internal only. You only had to train that customer support side. You only had to train the wealth manager side. They proved this out for several months. They have since scaled it beyond just the wealth managers, but this is the way a use case should go. Start internal only, because your end customers, I'm telling you right now, at least 40% of them are terrified about AI. I don't care what industry you're in. That is how they're thinking about it. We are not yet at the point where, unless you're a deep tech startup or a large DMB or something, if you are in industry, your customers are still terrified. And so starting internal only is the right way to do it. That is supercharging your people. Giving you an example on the process side. So again, this is mostly back office. This is operations. This is, again, not customer exposed. And so I'm going to give you an example of Pactum. Anyone use Pactum? Heard of Pactum? Like the name Pactum? All right. Pactum AI is a negotiation platform. And so where are we? The white is the AI, and the blue is the vendor. So they're talking back and forth. You can kind of see, I'll read it for the folks in the back. On the far left side, this is the process of that contract negotiation. Introduction, mutual interest, contract terms, discussion, summary, contract finalization, and conclusion. And on the right-hand side is what people have agreed to. It's kind of saving out as the conversation goes on, so that it's fully transparent to that vendor what they've agreed to. Now, Walmart decided to run a 3-month pilot on this AI negotiation bot. They reached out to 100 customers. And they were like, hey, do you want to negotiate with this weird AI thing? I hope it'll work. How many people said yes? 20? Half? All right, almost 90% opted in. So 89 said, I'm in, can't wait, sounds fun. I love the name Pactum, right? Whatever it is. So they opted into this, and Walmart's calculations, they had unbelievable people thinking about all of the possible contracts they could close, and their target close was 20%. Now, I'm going to add here that the vendors that they were inviting to this pilot were not the top, most expensive, most critical vendors that they work with. It was the long tail of their vendors. Things like shopping cart procurement or janitorial services, okay? So it's very similar to that Morgan Stanley example. They're not going for the crazy high risk. They're not exposing it to that high customer. They're keeping it on that long tail. All right, so they had a target close of 20%. They were hoping that AI would finalize 20% of those deals, and they get to set the guardrails. They get to say, here are the net terms we're okay with, here's the revenue size we're okay with, here's the margin we're okay with, and then Pactum could run and find space within. They were hoping to close 20, they closed, load the slide, 68%, which is unbelievable, right? And the call out here is AI is not perfect. AI did not close 100% of the deals. It closed 68, and that was more than triple their goal. Right? Immediately, they were able to save 3%. If you're Walmart, that 3% is an unbelievable amount. Now, similar to that Morgan Stanley example, the most important thing right now is maintaining that relationship and trust. And none of this matters, even the money saving, even the amazing PR that you can get out of it, none of it matters if you lost trust with your customers in that process, or lost trust with your vendors and partners and shareholders in that process. So after that use case finished, they reach out to their customer, the vendors that went through this whole process, and they say, hey, do you hate us? Do you like us? Did this go okay? Do you prefer the AI? Do you prefer people? We're willing to listen, we're here. They ask those vendors, and what percent of the vendors said, yeah, it's okay? Y'all are quiet this morning. Everyone shout your first name. No, okay. The number of people that said, actually, we prefer the AI was 75%. The reason that, wow, I agree. The reason that this is so important was because they targeted the use case on the right profile. These were the long tail vendors that had been waiting for Walmart to actually respond to their emails. These were the vendors that were waiting 2 weeks to hear back from someone. They want to get done with their business. They don't want to sit here for multiple weeks, trading emails back and forth, figuring out if that deal is going to close. So not only did they prefer negotiating with the AI for speed, they got to get back to the thing that makes them money faster. So always thinking about what is that end goal and what might they be really, really valuing. Last piece here is product, using AI to supercharge those offerings into the market. This is the more obvious one, again, with people. Process tends to be the one that everyone forgets. Though this is obvious, I will say that the majority of products that I see released are the wrong products. Or the majority of AI use cases that I see in the space are the wrong ones. The goal should be to use the AI that is available today and only gets better with the AI of tomorrow. That's option one. Or will only be possible with the AI of the next generation. I see way too many people building for GPT-18 where they're like, maybe if we could just read brainwaves of our customers, we could sell them more tiaras. And you're like, what are you on? Okay, so here are some what I would call good AI use cases in that product space. The first one is going to be from Stitch Fix. Now, Stitch Fix, I know everyone thinks about it as a retail platform. Stitch Fix is an unbelievable AI team. I hope you guys know people there. They're doing some incredible work. And so they decided to use AI to write their product descriptions en masse. And so they decided to use the gold mine of data that they were sitting on. Stitch Fix has been around for years and years, and they have all of these reviews of certain products that maybe, someone reviewed a dress and said, actually, I know it's publicized for work, but it's better for a wedding. Oh, this didn't really fit well, this is too small. Whatever those reviews are. They took all of those reviews and they fine-tuned an OpenAI model to work for this use case, okay? The scale, remember I said scale and performance, and those are the two things combined that make a use case really shine. The scale is that it can write 10,000 product descriptions every 30 minutes. Now, if you'll recall in the Walmart example, we did not hit 100% success rate, and yet AI delivered unbelievable value. Same here. The amount of time it took to write a single product description went from 2 weeks down to a minute. The pass rate of any of these product descriptions was at 77%. And so those expert copywriters instead got to focus their time on editing the weird 23% that didn't pass. And so those experts were really moving from execution, from task doer into management. And that is really how a lot of these roles are changing today. It's going from doing all the doing to doing some of the doing and managing the rest, to potentially letting agents do much of the doing, and it is managing and orchestrating and designing that process. Another Stitch Fix example, this was trying to figure out which outfits would be most likely to be purchased. And so this is an RL model thinking about the end goal being buy my stuff, okay? So this scale is out of this world. They are generating 13 million new outfits a day, over 40 million new outfit combinations a day. And the reason that this matters, because it sounds like a very high number and it just sounds like a lot of noise, is hyper-personalization. That is the future. I literally said this at the ScaleUp conference 2 years ago, that the future of AI is creating a market of one for literally everything, right? So the way that your beautiful jacket is sold to you is going to be different from how it's sold to me. I love space, and so it's going to tell me that I get to feel like a very cool, strong astronaut. And maybe for you, you're going to be a rock star, and so it'll target that to you. She looks amazing, by the way. Everyone should say hi after. Of course, yeah, get on stage. Let's do this. Okay, so that is the future of all this. This is personalized delivery. Now, one more example. This is from Audi. They're using AI to co-design the wheels of their cars. And so what I love about this example is that it's not really that simple. They actually have 2 AI systems, and it's kind of set up like a GAN, if you're familiar with those. So the first AI system is like the crazy, wacky, creative that's coming up with brand new ideas where it's like, what if the wheels could like light on fire, right? It's just coming up with insane, wild, outside the box things. The second AI system is heavily trained on what Audi likes, doesn't like, what passes the test, what passes regulation. And so this second AI system is judging what the first AI system is cranking out. This is the generator, I am the discriminator. Only things that pass through this second filter then go to the human designer. So creating tons and tons of data, that mass filter then going to that end designer. What I love here is that the designer still is going back and forth with another AI system to make edits, to say, make it bigger, make it smaller, make it pink. And we get to go back and forth, and then only when that human approves does it then go to a 3D printing process. This is really creating an entire end-to-end workflow with AI. So many people are stuck on that one single task or one single process. And if you are using AI in your work, my guess is that you too are stuck in this process. I'm already seeing nods. I agree. We are now moving into full workflow AI, right? And so that is really going to be enabled by agents and automation. So there are a lot of different use cases in this space. We're not going to go over it, but in case you want to take a photo, here are a ton of other examples that are already happening today. I see this across people, process, and product. And the trick here, by the way, is that your company needs to be working on all three at once. You don't get to just sit pretty and only work on one use case and think that you are changing the world. Okay? You have to be focused on the short term and the long term together. The big takeaway here is that it is not just your strategy, okay? It is also your tech strategy. And I'm going to tell the ScaleUp AI team, I'm going to run a little bit over, okay? But this is worth it. I was cracking too many jokes. It is not just your strategy. It is also your customers. So many people only think about their internal work. So here's a very fast example. Let's say that you're shopping for Wi-Fi. You go onto Comcast's website. You screenshot it. You're not even reading a single thing. You take that screenshot. You throw it into Claude. You say, hey, I have no budget. I really like sci-fi. I really like Netflix. Here's the screenshots I just took. Just freaking tell me what to do. Claude is going to read all of these screenshots that you just fed it, and it is going to say, great, Allie, based on that, here's the exact one you should buy. It's going to cost you $120 a month. And I go, wait a second. That's a lot. That's expensive. So I'm now going to go to Claude, and I'm going to say, can you actually give me the entire script of how to ask for a discount? If you ask your finance team, if they're providing a product, and you ask your finance team, has your model been updated for 10% more of our customers asking for a discount, even more successfully than they ask for it today? You will hear a resounding no. So a lot of people have not yet updated their models to take into account their customer using AI on the offense against your company. And I'm going to show you one other example here. This is artifacts. Anyone built an artifact? Not yet. For how many Claude hands? OK, now a couple. Here's a very, very fast example. But I say, OK, don't just tell me exactly what to do. Actually, I want an entire interactive decision matrix, right? Comcast has to be one of the examples. I do not give it the other options. I don't tell it what I want to make the decision based on. I don't really say much. And it is now going to code an entire interactive decision matrix for me in real time. I did not have to write any code. And in just about 20 seconds, it is going to then create this entire matrix for me. I get to make some changes. I get to say I care about this. I don't care about this. And my absolute favorite prompt, which is going to come up in a second, is I decide that this is kind of black and white and boring. And I just say, OK. So I submit that, and the next amazing matrix that I get is this beautiful, well-tuned, stunning matrix where I get to, again, make some fast decisions. And it's going to kind of switch depending on what I care about, Verizon, Google Fi, whatever. My team is making these multiple times a day for financial analysis, for sensitivity analysis. We're making quick micro apps with artifacts in case we want to solve a quick problem. So as you're thinking about AI, you're going to hear a lot about technology. You're going to hear a lot about how incredible it is that we can create videos of us getting squished like Play-Doh. But the way bigger impact is that it is a global response of business model innovation. Everyone is going to get so caught up in tech because that's what the Twitter bros are all tweeting. But the way bigger impact is moving into that AI-first business. My number one piece of advice is to adapt to the rate of change. That is why startups are going to be getting a leg up, because AI is now baked into their processes, which allows them to move faster. Most companies that I speak with are now making one-year plans and adding in flexibility and checking in so that they can change. Couple quick things. So if you want to hear how I run an AI-first team, I'm interjecting a quick thing. This is a very tactical way of every single way we run our meetings, how we take AI breaks, how we're using those artifacts. This is totally free. And then I want to get into talking about the future. The open Q&A that we have right after this, by the way, is 30 minutes. Feel free to ask me literally anything, including what my thoughts are on the Terminator. But a couple tee-ups. First is starting with culture and trust for your business. So many people are starting with the technology and forget that this is a people change. I also want to tell you that you will have people at your company on the executive team, it tends to be legal and HR, who are detractors, heavy detractors, and probably silent detractors. They're not raising their hand, but they're going to go out of their way to make things worse for you. And so knowing who those champions are, which might not even be on your executive team, might be a mid-manager, and knowing who those detractors are, unbelievably important for that system change. McKinsey put out a report saying that the ratio of spend for tech and AI change management should be 1 to 5. For every $1 you spend on tech, you should be spending $5 on people change. That gives me such a good sense of the ratio of even the time that should be spent. Best ideas can come from anywhere, we know that. And as you're thinking about that iteration change, it has to be in all parts of your business. Okay, how are you building and how can that be moved faster? How are you testing and how can that be moved faster? How are you selling and how can that be moved faster? The future is the autonomous enterprise. And I'm teeing this up so that at ScaleUp AI 5, we can talk about what this looks like. But this is really thinking about AI and agentic AI, and eventually AGI, which I hate the term, and we can argue that over lunch. The breakdown that I want to give and the 3 components, and then we'll wrap. This is my opinion, and I welcome the debate, but the 3 components that I believe are critical to that next stage of AI, to full autonomous experiences and full AGI are. The first is self-learning. The ability to reason through and respond to environmental triggers to then self-improve. Eventually, the teams at OpenAI and Anthropic are not going to be the ones training GPT-6 or 7. It's going to be the previous model updating itself. The second is autonomy. Right now, I can't really think of many businesses that don't have a human in the loop at some point in this process, right? We are not relegating big decisions to AI yet, because the quality is not yet there. And the layer that everyone forgets about is resources. Your AI systems, there's more to, I know everyone's taking photos, but there's more on this slide. The resources that they have to have access to might be human labor, might be money, might be time, might be research, might be documents. If your agents don't have access to resources, it can't really do much. Right? So you might be giving your agents budget levels that it can play within. And maybe it's lower than what any human at your company has, but it's something. Now, the check-in on timeline. Self-learning is almost there. We see O1 preview right now. O1 already got leaked. If you read any of OpenAI's Reddit AMA, every single focus area was about the reasoning agents. People asked about Sora. They said, never mind, we're doing O1. People asked about advanced voice mode. Hey, we're focused on O1. Every single thing was focused on reasoning. And Claude's new model, 3.5 Sonnet, is also in that space. Experts are predicting that that coding quality is going to hit that critical level in 2 to 5 years. Right now, my team, even when we're coding pretty basic things, about 25% of it still needs to be edited by a human. On more complex tasks, it might be closer to 50%. The last piece is, as we're thinking about the resources, all those startups are getting funded now, right? That is companies like Payman, which is trying to be the Visa and MasterCard of AI, the ability to make payments between humans and labor. So that is the presentation. I think the one thing that I want to end on, other than the rate of change, is that the majority of companies are not thinking about people in the AI-first movement. So as you are leaving this room and thinking about how your business is going to change forever, keep in mind the humans. All right, thank you.
Steps